All right, y'all. Welcome back to the Spiritual Shepherd YouTube channel. I am the Spiritual Shepherd TC. Today we're going to be getting into something very important. It only took me 1 year to get here. It only took me 1 year to get here. See, but the year obviously has a lot of different modalities to it. I've done a lot of different studying from either CEOs, entrepreneurs, multimillionaires, cultivation of either warrior monks and different types of things and logistics like this. And I think that there is a mishap and a misconception to either just follow the entrepreneur route, just follow the fitness entrepreneur route, just follow the business real estate entrepreneur route, just follow somebody who is an investor route, just follow the crypto guy, just follow whatever. Okay? And I don't think that there's enough cross training. Okay? Now, I think that this is the same thing in the fitness realm, guys. 100% the same shit that happens in the fitness realm is you guys will just go into bodybuilding. You guys will just go into physique building. You guys will just go into powerlifting. You will just go into training on the track, but you won't lift or you won't do yoga. See, or you'll lift and you'll do cardio and you'll do that, but you won't do breath work, which is simultaneous and synchronistic with cardio and cardiovascular, the oxygen system. See, but that's the big correlation. So this video is really just a very big prerequisite for you to understand and comprehend and understand exactly where you must guide yourself and see the totality of everything that goes into your life. So you guys might be on the mental realm, but your physical is lacking. You might be on the emotional realm, women. You might be on the emotional realm, but you might not transmute that more into your feminine spirituality. See what I'm saying? Same with the men. You might be physical, but you're not emotional. You might be mental and physical, but you're not emotional or spiritual. You might be spiritual and emotional, but not physical or mental. And you got to build these correlations in these aspects. Or you might be financial, but your physical is lacking. And your emotions might be lacking. Your mentality might be there, but you could also cultivate an even better mentality because your physical's been lacking. So you have to look at these different aspects and these different spells and these different types of things that you are casting upon yourself in your life. And you have to look at the whole view of each pillar. So mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual. And the financial is a bracket under the physical realm, the physical pillar. So this is not a MEPS video. That's just going to be for other different types of things and correlations. But this, I do want to get into something called Kaizen. Kaizen is just one little quote. It's a philosophy. It's a Japanese philosophy. And it is the philosophy of constant improvement, consistently improving. Okay. Every day is an opportunity to improve, even if it is only 1% better. Okay, it's not about being invincible. It's about being unstoppable. So this Kaizen aspect of constant improvement is realizing that we are flawed beings. We are flawed human beings. Okay, and by being a flawed human being, which is a flawed light being, which means that we are obviously moving closer into enlightenment and other different types of things like this. But to be a flawed human being is really to go through and cut out all and prune all of the negative fruit, all the toxins in your life, the toxic relationships, the toxic family ships, the toxic friendships, all these different types of mishaps in your life, these speed bumps, these things that are slowing you down, different types of things like this. One cool quote I've heard, this is just an intuition popping up. I do have notes, but this is just an intuition, is God speeds up people's manifestations. God speeds up what you want, your prayers that you keep praying, your affirmations you keep saying. He speeds that up for people who obey the law. Okay? Because by obeying the law, you're obeying him or her, whoever you feel like. It's generally a masculine energy. And you have to understand, guys, that as you are praying, it's like, are you still using drugs? Are you still drinking alcohol and then justifying it? Are you still, not learning in these types of ways? Are you still not training as disciplined as you should be? Are you not waking up? Are you not eating healthy, but you're talking about being, good to the temple? Are you, different things like this? This is literally exactly what it is. And see, people don't correlate and understand those different types of aspects in their lives. And I think that is where those mishaps, where they're like, oh, so God's not going to bliss me with these different types of blessings because it was your fault in that general type of aspect. Once you cut that toxic fruit, once you prune that fruit, that negative fruit, then you have a very pure tree and you have a very clean tree, and then that tree will produce even better fruit. Okay, and then even by the droplings of the fruit, those will create new fruit trees. You guys have to look at food forestry, which means that the more food forests that we create, the more food forests will be created from the ones that we've created. Okay, it is the compound interest effect of food forestry. This is my ultimate goal and my ultimate mission and my ultimate vision for life. It is free. We must get back into nature. We must start living as the native indigenous did, but also with our futuristic, I guess you could say, technological cities. But we have to get more our technological cities into the Nikola Tesla full energy vibes, where energy pays for itself. We are living on free energy. We are cultivating free energy, as in it's free. It's in the atmosphere. There is atmospheric water creation. There is atmospheric electrical creation. There's wireless light bulbs. We can cultivate these different types of energies. We are able to have floating cars and flying cars through electromagnetism and cultivation of this type of stuff. And then this is also one big correlation is, as we purchase and do these types of things, we can create more food freedom, where we can invest in people's intelligence, invest in people's knowledge, invest in people's wisdom, teach enlightenment in schools, and invest in and really help grow our children, not to be on their pads all the time. So in this type of aspect, guys, it only took me 1 year to get here. Now with that as the prerequisite, this is exactly what it is. I used to be rushing. I used to be tripping. I used to be worried about going so hard and not getting this great reward. This is generally in business, okay? And now I do everything. Everything is done the same way because everything is the same. Everything is done the same way because everything is the same to some degree. So you train just as hard as you work. You work just as hard as you train. You sleep just as hard as you train. You eat just as well as you train. All this different type of stuff. Mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, financially, occupationally. So in this aspect, guys, I want you guys to really get into this type of mindset that I used to be really operating from that like business, grind. You always have to work. I feel like I'm always behind. I'm always, over and overdrive, working from 9 to 5 and overdrive, always on these different types of things. And I realized it only took me 1 year to get here. If I really actually meditated, and once I meditated on that fact, I was like, whoa, it's only been a year since I've been here. It's only been a year since I got to where I'm at. And where I'm at is literally going to be making tons of money, like tons and tons and tons of money. Okay. And then ultimately that is to build and cultivate through different types of things such as food forestry. And we have to get to this aspect too, that the first thing that we are cultivating and ultimately what we're doing is we've been doing rogue one-offs. I've been doing a lot of rogue one-offs, meaning like, I'll cultivate, like, I'll do some client calls with some people, and then I'll do some videos, and then I'll do some of this, and I'll do some of that, and it's like, and that is exactly how I got started. Like, I don't want you guys to mishap, but that's exactly how I got started. And then that took me from the place of like, do my videos every day, start filming every day, start working harder every day, start putting in hours as like it's your job, as it is your like daily types of tasks and these different types of things. And now everything is more official. See, and that's what I want to inspire you guys is like, I want you guys to understand that like you might be wanting to make a business. You might want to be an affiliate marketer. You might want to be a network marketer. You might want to go into your own business. You might want to be in real estate. You might want to be an entrepreneur. You might want to cultivate different types of investments or being an investor. all these different types of things. You might have these different mindsets of, I'm always behind. There's people who are my age who are ahead of me. There's people who are my age who are doing better than me, all this type of shit. You might have these different mindsets, but I want you guys to understand that, like, we're going to get into this part too, is everything for me now is official. Everything's in abundant, automated. It's altruistic. So it's to the highest degree. It's for the best of the people. It's for the best of myself. It's for the best cultivation of human beings. It's automated. It's abundant. It's official. And it's running with multitudes of people to build business and to cultivate business, having tons of leads, having tons of offers, having tons of sales, different types of correlations like this, where it is really starting to build a grandeur of accomplishment and success in my life. Okay, and I'm realizing that having this help, having this type of cultivation is for not just the audience, but for myself and for my family and for my friends to teach abundance and teach investment and teach them that, yeah, this is like a big correlation that we could do this together. If there's a million people who do this, this is going to change the world in a million exponential ways. Okay, so we have to get to the point too of this. A lot of people don't realize that patience ultimately pays. Patience ultimately pays. And patience is a state of mind, not an actual physical thing. So it is, if you feel like you are being patient, then you are patient. But you have to be in that emotional state, okay? Now, one thing I also want to talk about, guys, is some people just started their businesses at 35, at 40, at 45, at 50. There are plenty of people who did not become actors or actresses or start their businesses, their multi-million-dollar businesses, their $100 million businesses, their $200 million businesses until they were 35, until they were 40, until they were 45. And you have to understand that you are not going to just do it in one day. You have the instant gratification mindset of social media, because that is exactly what's projected into the poverty, scarce mindset of social media and to the general public, to the 99%. See, and now I'm already way ahead of the game. And I inspire you to already realize that you are already ahead of the game. It's 11:11 a.m. right now, 11:11. I'm already way ahead of the game. And one of my favorite quotes is, a man's life doesn't start even until 30. Doesn't even start until 30. Doesn't even start. A man's life doesn't even start until 30. He's growing up. He's learning different lessons. He's learning different types of things. And I'm not even 30 yet. And I'm already at this aspect where I'm doing this effortlessly. I'm doing this efficiently. I'm doing it in such style for me, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, financially, occupationally. I'm cultivating different types of effortless efficiency, effortless action, actionless action, as Bruce Lee so boldly says, okay? I'm realizing that people love spending money, okay? Generally on pointless materials too, that they don't generally need. I'm ultimately cultivating wisdom, knowledge. I've built myself. I built my health. I built my wealth. I've built relationships. And I've obviously still getting 1% better every single day, building that 1% better every single day, that mindset. Okay. I realize that people love spending money generally on pointless materials. Okay. And getting 1% better every day. If people are generally loving to spend money, you have to get to the aspect that don't try to get them to stop spending money because their dopamine's already there. What you are to do, if you are a conscious creator and you're a conscious being, is to ultimately teach them to spend and invest better with the money that they're already spending. Okay. And this is a big thing, is if they're generally buying pointless materials, they're buying liabilities, they're buying clothes, they're buying shoes, they're buying all this type of shit that generally doesn't give them a return of investment, then they're losing out. They're losing a lot of money. They're losing different types of things that way. Okay. And so rather than investing in assets, which most people don't do, most people would spend money they don't have, aka debt, aka credit, to buy things that they don't actually need because they already have tons of clothes, that beyond a whole month's worth of clothes. Okay. They don't need, which actually happen to be liabilities to impress people they don't like. So here's a big aspect. We've heard these different quotes before. I wouldn't say that they're necessarily cliche as people think, but it does ring significantly true to the ears actually. I mean, honestly, if you really get to the aspect that like there are a lot of people who like talk about this, like people buy stuff, people buy things to show off to like other people and different things like that. And I find like that is because they're confused. They are under the confused mindset, you know. They're under the confunded charm. They're under the confused charm, you know. And that is the big thing is like, oh, if I look like this, then this is what's going to make me be accepted. And it's like, generally, if people accept you, they're going to accept you. If they don't accept you, they're not going to accept you. So like, let's just spit the facts. Now, one of my goals is really to generally inspire people to utilize their finances better. Okay. Even if they don't stop spending, like I was saying earlier, even if they are already spending money, it's to teach them to make better conscious decisions. Okay. So even if they don't stop spending, at least I can help them utilize their finances better. At least they invest better or spend more consciously through their lives since they've been connected to me, or as I've been in their life. They start making more conscious decisions financially, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. They start cultivating and say, oh, I can cut this, I can prune this bad fruit, and I can actually double down on good fruit by cutting out that bad fruit. Now, cultivating rich minimalism is important. This is being a minimalist, okay, and being wealthy as well. But also, what I mean by a rich minimalist is somebody who is a minimalist and somebody who's rich, okay? You could just say that aspect. But also somebody who the things that they only buy as a minimalist, so you could do this if you're quote unquote poor, quote unquote scarce, quote unquote the 95%, the 99%, you can do this, is you just buy better materials. You buy better materials as a minimalist, which is exactly how I've started. So you buy the expensive stuff. I wouldn't even say the expensive stuff, but you buy higher quality brands. Like this is a little bit more than just buying a basic t-shirt, but it's a nice fitted shirt. It all these different types of correlations. And that is how you would do it. You would spend $5 more to get the better version because that is something that you can afford. And then that would add up and you would ultimately be able to cultivate way more significantly than that, okay? Like way more significantly through that type of perspective. So it's being wealthy as well as the materials you buy are bougie, expensive, and superior material, okay? That is what a rich, but you don't have to own a lot. You don't have to have a lot. So meaning that you don't have like 3 months worth of clothes, okay? You have like 2 weeks worth of clothes, or like you have different types of things like 2 or 3 weeks worth of clothes where everything in that type of aspect, and then it's all nice. They all compared to each other. So you have a capsule wardrobe. You have different types of aspects like this. Funny thing is I've known different things about fitness. I've known different things about, riches. I've known different things about investing and business since I was a kid, since I was 16, 17, 18, somewhere in there. And really one thing that most people don't take is action. They don't take action. And I think that that's a very big key to the journey for quickening, for automating, for building, for cultivating, for actually like really making a good return of investment is action. Ripped, rich, rare. Ripped, rich, rare. Okay. Now, sure, I've been coming up with different visions for the years, meditating on what I would like the world to look like, what I would like to see when I look in the world. Meditating on how I'm going to impact and change the world. And lastly, the mission of bringing 5D Christ consciousness to a 3D planet. I've kept thinking, I've been running this business for 3 years. Why isn't anything happening? I've been thinking about this business for 5 years. Well, actually, now that I think about it, I've really only dialed in about a year to a year and a half. And actually, the majority of that, it was just back office building. So really, I've only been in my business for like 8 months. And that is just finishing up the back office and generally different stuff like this, having a few different clients, having a few different types of things, getting connected with very big people that build leads, build offers, build sales, different types of correlations through, audience marketing, network marketing, affiliate marketing, etc. And so this is, if I really think about it, like my business has only been up for 7 to 8 months. And once it's done, like once I'm done with it, it's just an evergreen monetized automation type of thing. And then I'm cultivating leads and building leads and just funneling them into this monetized automation business that is evergreen business. And so that is like actually a really big way to buying back time, which I've really learned into, I've really like learned and gotten into. Sure, I used to have random calls. I used to have random client calls, unorganized videos, sporadic content creation, just like here's a video, here's a video, here's a video. Now it's organized. It's like I have literally so much organization. I have organization in my house, organization in my workouts, organization in my food, organization in all of my creation for my content creation. I have organization for my podcasts, my YouTubes, my TikToks. I have organization for my writing, so my copywriting. I have organization for literally how my system is going to be built, all these different types of systems. And I think that there's a lot of different mishaps. Like, yeah, I used to be perceived as lazy. I used to be perceived as a piece of shit. I used to be seen as fat, broke, and unhappy. I used to be seen as all these different types of things. And I didn't care. Like, I'm going to get into this type of aspect that you will have tons and tons and tons of people who will just shit talk you. They will literally put you down. They will say you're fat. They will say you're ugly. I will literally just not tell anybody anything about their lives, because I know that we've seen that 300, 400 pound person go, and then now they have a six pack, they have an 8-pack, and they're teaching fitness and wellness. Because don't let the cover fool you. Don't let the cover fool you, because there's an inside being. There's an inside conscious being, okay? Whether they're conscious, unconscious, or subconscious, you have to tap into those different subconscious growth, the different subconscious growth, which is tapping into the unconscious, the conscious, the subconscious, all this type of stuff. And you can cultivate this, but people saw the shell. Oh, I'm dressing, I'm wearing one fucking pair of clothes every single day. Oh, I have different things I'm living at my parents. I don't have a car. I don't have a job. I don't have fucking money. I just meditate and all day. And all I do is study, and I study weird things that most people don't fucking get. So clearly he's not going to fucking go anywhere. That's what people used to project onto me. Now, if I chose to believe them and I chose to fucking accept everything that they spoke over me and projected onto me, then I would be that. I would be that fucking piece of shit but I saw something greater for myself. I saw something like, yeah, this is something I don't ever want to fucking do again. I don't ever want to be at my parents' house. I don't ever want to be fucking broke. I fucking hate what it feels like to be broke. So I'm not going to be broke anymore, and I'm not even going to feel those feelings. I'm going to feel what it feels like to be abundant. I'm going to feel that abundance every day. That's why I'd walk around with nothing, and I would be literally just I would be in ecstatic, blissful, joyful, happiness, like graceful states, peaceful states all day long. And people are like, this guy's just a meditator. This guy's just a monk. He wears the same thing every single day, all this type of stuff. And it's like, yeah, you're right. And I used to be like, oh, he's lazy. Yo, I used to wake up at 3 a.m., go out my parents' sliding door in the thing that I would be in a room, and I had a sliding door, completely dark room and everything, and I would slide the door open and I'd leave and I'd walk, because I didn't have a car, I didn't have a job, I didn't have all this type of stuff. I would walk and I would do pull-ups, I would do push-ups, I do all this body weight stuff, I do lifting, I do all these different types of correlations. And yeah, I was like leaner, and I was skinnier than what I am now. I'm like the filled out version. But like, if you really get the aspect of this, guys, is like, I woke up and I would train, I would study, I would just literally watch the same movies, I would watch the same type of things. I'd watch 3 movies. I'd watch 3 movies, guys, 3 movies. I'd watch Star Wars, I'd watch Black Panther, and I'd watch Avatar. And I'd watch those consistently over and over and over and over again because they have something to do with indigenous people. They have something to do with ancient Egypt. They have something to do with colonization. They have something to do with all these different aspects of the indigenous native tribes of society. Okay, like literally of creation. And so this is a big correlation that like I would really get into. And not everybody understood me. I don't care if you do understand me, or if you did understand me, or if you will understand me, or whatever. I can care less. I know exactly what my purpose is, and I know exactly that it's only going to be to the benefit of life. Okay, and so if you are a living being, see, there's the concept of there could be people who could be alive, but they're dead. You know what I'm saying? Like they died at 25, but they're 50. You know, they died at 30, but they are still living. Like that is being unconscious. Like you have to be conscious to be living, and you have to be conscious about being conscious to be a conscious being, because they're constantly trying to put more unconsciousness in your mindset. See, and one big thing, guys, is it's only been a short amount of time. And now things are already taking off. See, it's very quick, a span of 3 years, a span of 5 years. I remember the first time that I started making videos. I did one dark room, and I ultimately started creating videos, and I did something called the 10-year plan. You can still find it on my YouTube today. You can still literally find it later on in my YouTube today. And so one big thing about this 10-year plan that I was cultivating was just everything that I ever like idolized that would be like the greatest thing if I just cultivated it. Meditating, qigong, and oming, and be like a master martial artist, and then be buff as fuck, and then just be like rich, you know, and not only that, but then like it's not about all that superficial shit. That is literally just the byproduct of your lifestyle. And generally, people want the byproduct without ever cultivating the lifestyle. They want the destination, they want the outcome, but they don't want to put in the work during the journey. And the journey and the work is the destination. That is why people are always going to want, they're going to beg, they're going to need, they're going to lust after the outcome and still never get it, because they will never be the journey. They will never be the journey. So if there's something that you can learn from this type of lesson, is cultivate the journey, cultivate those different types of things. We are going to conclude soon, okay? So it's been a short amount of time. I'm already here taking off. Business is literally launching on Black Friday, guys. It's literally launching on Black Friday, and I'm very, 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 very stoked about this. And I've cultivated this. I've built teams on this. I built teams around this. And I've started realizing that as I'm building teams, as I've put a lot of investment into this, I've cultivated thousands of dollars into this, obviously to make tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars. And then obviously amplify that and scale that into millions and multi-millions, etc. You guys get the aspect of this. Is I started from scratch. I started learning about LLCs. I don't know what the fucking LLC was. I didn't know any of this type of shit. I didn't know anything about real estate. I didn't know anything about investment. I didn't know anything about, you know, Robert Kiyosaki and the four ESBI. I didn't know any of those, like employee, business, self-employed. I didn't know an investor. I didn't know any of that type of stuff. I didn't know what cash flow was. I didn't know, like, I got the concept of like, yeah, your money can make more money, but like nobody ever told me how to do it. Nobody ever taught me really how to do it. I was always told in my life that if you start a fucking business, you're going to hate it. You're going to absolutely hate it. And yeah, that might be right for some people's perspectives. I'm not even disappointed in myself that I chose to believe that for so long, for 8 years, for 10 years, for 12 years, however long for 15 years. You know, if I chose to believe that, and I chose to be like, I never want to run a business, I never want to build a business because it's like this. No, it's really the systems. Okay, it's really the systems. So you will never go to the height and the ceiling of your goals, but you will always fall to the floor levels of your systems. So we have to build better systems in business. We have to build better systematic automation. We have to build better system entrepreneurs. We have to really help cultivate building a better system. And that is the problem with this matrix, is that the system's not running well enough. It's not running clean enough. It's not running with clean energy. It's not running with spirituality energy. It's not running in that type of vibe. And we are cultivating that type of vibe. We are building that type of vibe. And as we build that type of vibe, you will start to see the systematic change in the world. You will start to see it evolve, move more into 5D. We are crossing the threshold from 3D to 4D to 5D. 5D is the Christ consciousness, where we are all emulating Christ. We are all living as Christ. We are all living in the high vibrational state of peace, joy, love, enlightenment. We are living in those higher vibratory realities. Now, I could have chose, we're going to conclude this, guys. I could have chose that people were to be like, oh yeah, you know, like, you used to be a piece of shit. Yeah, you're lazy. Yeah, you just stay at your parents' house. Yeah, you have no fucking assets. You have no cars. You are literally $20,000 in debt. Yeah, you have all this type of shit. You don't have a job. You know, like whatever. You know? And then obviously, like, your own ego has its own types of haps, like, shit, I'm 20, I'm 25 or whatever, I'm 26 or whatever. Why am I here? Why am I in this type of paradigm? Why did I do this when I was this age? And yeah, you could have all these different types of things pop up. That is actually the perfect time to heal the monkey mind, because you have all these different things pop up. That is the time to enter into the monk mind, where you say, I forgive you. I forgive that being. I no longer need to be that being. This has taught me so much, and now I'm going to literally save and invest years, decades of time, because I messed up for 3 years. Because I messed up for 3 years, I could say 2 to 3 to 4 decades, and that's going to be exponential growth. Years, decades of time, because I messed up for 3. I chose to mess up for 3. There is a philosophy, there is a Stoic philosophy where it says, if you mess up when you're young, mess up as young as you possibly can, because when you mess up, you will never have to mess up the latter years, the after years of those times, of those mishaps, of those mess ups. So I could have chose that I believed people's projection of me. Oh, you're a fucking vegan. You're a fucking vegan. Are you better than us? Oh, you believe in this type of spirituality. You're blasphemous. Oh, you believe in these types of things. That must be a misconception. No, you just never conceived of it that way. You've never perceived or had perceptions or perspectives of it this way. So does that make me to spread misconception? No, that just means that you've never conceived of it that way. See, we have to understand that most people don't take accountability. Most people don't take responsibility. Most people do not take their actions into their own hands. And here's a lesson. Even when people say it's not their fault, and it probably is not their fault, make it be your fault. Make it be your fault, because that will make you better. Somehow that will make you better. Somehow that is miraculously going to change your life. And this is the psychology of this. I could have chose that if somebody projected onto me, then I would literally be affected or choose to believe them, and they would gaslight me, and then I would believe them. Or I can stand up and say, fuck you, I'm literally going to get my own, and I'm going to inspire you to get your own and not project your negative insecurities and what you believe to be true about reality onto me, because I don't identify with what you're saying. But people's already checked out. People who are listening to this, most people have already checked out from this video, because the thing about this is, you can choose to allow somebody to speak their reality over you as its fact. Or you could just choose to realize that just claim and affirm what you're going to do. Just do and follow your actions. Say what you're going to do and do it. And just do those types of actions. Just cultivate yourself in these types of actions. And as you cultivate and build this type of mindset, you will start to see that other people's projections is just a projection of their internal state of being and how they perceive themselves. And generally, if they perceive themselves that way, they just want to be healed. They just want to be free of their shadow, of their darkness. And they only can do that by 2 reasons: healing it or projecting it. Okay, healing it and feeling it, or projecting it and rejecting it. Okay, and so generally most people, the easier route is to project it and to reject it and just put it on somebody else and say, that's the subject who needs to do my work. See, no, fuck no. I'm going to do the work. I'm going to do the work no matter what. I'm going to do the work no matter what. I'm taking accountability, authority for my frame, for my reality, and God is within us. God is within us, and we are able to cultivate and build and develop in this type of thing, building a relationship inside of ourselves. Okay, so if you guys are desiring coaching or building a client base with me, there will be a thing in the description. I do have very few limited spots. I'm thinking about 11 clients, so 11 really good high ticket clients that I'm really going to cultivate. We can do just like a discovery call. If you guys are brand new, I'll do a discovery call. And you guys can set up that in the description. It'll say one-on-one client coaching. That's pretty much it. That's pretty much it, guys. You guys have a wonderful afternoon, a wonderful evening, a wonderful day wherever you are. Peace, much love, namaste.